I think this is maybe one of the more underrated stories of the year, right? Because when Ross first came into Trackhouse, not to the Cup Series, because he'd been around for a while on a bunch of back markers where he really didn't get to do much racing.
Yes,
when he came to Trackhouse, he ruffled a lot of feathers.
I actually watched a big percentage of both races, which is pretty big for me because usually I have to take a nap.
Just another race. I just
Stop.
No, that's not just another race.
Welcome on to the Backstretch. I am News 5's Heather Williams, and we made it through 600 miles at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Well, not all of us made it through, but what an interesting race, right? Most of the night you're sitting there thinking, well, William Byron's just going to stink up the show. I mean, he dominated. There were a few people that were able to get up there and challenge him for a little bit. Definitely Denny Hamlin had one of the better cars throughout the night. But it actually ended up being the guy that started dead last on the field, shotgun on the group, 40th on the grid, Ross Chastain, that takes the checkered flag. I'll tell you, I was watching the final laps down in the pits, as I often do, and it'd been a long day, so I wasn't probably as focused as I normally am. I did not even realize that Chastain had beaten Byron to the line, that he had gotten around him a few laps earlier. I'm just watching Byron, keeping my eye on him, and I'm watching him come, and I see the one, and I start to follow him, and I'm like, wait, that's not the 24. And then I kind of scanned back to the 24 and then to the one, and I was like, oh, the one just won this race. I just never saw it coming. I suppose I wasn't paying close enough attention because I had gotten to the racetrack late because I was doing other work for my job, and just crazy series of events that somebody could race from the last starting position to the first starting position after crashing in practice and win a race. Unbelievable job by the Trackhouse team and by Ross Chastain. Speaking of that, his teammate Daniel Suarez was having a pretty good night himself, and actually Shane Van Gisbergen had one of his better nights on the oval in the Cup Series. So though the finishes really didn't show it, especially for Suarez, things are looking up at Trackhouse Racing, and Suarez is going to be our guest this week. Really fun interview. I always love talking to Daniel, but gives really good insight about, yes, they won, but there's probably still work that needs to be done at Trackhouse, but they're definitely going in the right direction. And so great conversation with him about that. Also, Chris is here, as always. We're actually back together in the same building talking racing. I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, obviously, so we did our little group chat via Zoom, and then last week we did it via Zoom because he was at North Wilkesboro. I'm sorry, they were at Charlotte last week. He was at Charlotte, and they were racing, so we're going to finally get to talk to Chris about a number of different things. Always love getting his opinion. Kind of an interesting conversation talking about the penalty being revoked from Chris Buescher. He got all of his points and such back. So you're going to want to stick around for Chris. Obviously, he's a guy that knows about appealing penalties. So stay tuned for that. I guess I probably shouldn't keep you waiting. Let's get going.
Joining us now is our crew chief, Chris Kehrer, who's also the crew chief for the number 75 Food Country truck in the Craftsman Truck Series. Ross Chastain raced his way from last to first at the Coca-Cola 600 over the weekend. Chastain has just sort of quietly raced his way into the top 10 in points. How big a win is this for Chastain and for Trackhouse?
Well, it's huge for several reasons. One is because it's the Coca-Cola 600, or as this old guys say, the World 600.
Oh, Ross kept calling it the World 600 the whole time.
I like him. So anyway, he you know, it's Heather. It's just one of those marquee events, marquee races. One of those that a guy wants that trophy on his shelf. People at the shop, the owners, I'm sure the sponsors, it's one of those things that you know, they can kind of stick their chest out just a little bit, because this is not, the World 600 is not for the weak at heart or weak at mind, or definitely not the weak of body. 600 miles. It's 400 laps around that place. And if anybody really paid attention to the race and watched some of the in-car camera, listened to the guys talking about it, it's a lot of, I mean, the place is rough. It is now taken the place on the NASCAR series as the roughest racetrack, for sure. And to be doing that for close to 4 hours, I guess, was about what it was, it's an undertaking. And then on top of that, the fact that they brought a backup car after crashing in practice, got the thing ready, worked to the wee hours of the morning, and then got up. Some of them got up then still in the wee hours of the morning and finished it. The storyline behind it, just a lot of character by that team. A lot of character, a lot of commitment, a lot of want to factor. I'm hats off. I don't know all those guys for sure, but there are people there that deserve a big pat on the back. And then Ross Chastain did his job on Sunday night in the race, made a lot of good decisions, kept his car pretty clean, and when it came time to cash in, he's at the window.
You know, and I think you mentioned he kept his car clean. I think this is maybe one of the more underrated stories of the year, right? Because when Ross first came into Trackhouse, not into the Cup Series, because he'd been around for a while on a bunch of back markers where he really didn't get to do much racing.
Yes,
when he
ma'am.
came to Trackhouse, he ruffled a lot of feathers, kind of
Yes,
like
he
what
did.
Carson Hocevar's doing right now at Spire.
Yeah.
He backed it off. It seemed like his performance backed off a little bit. This year, he's able to race clean, race the way that drivers want to be raced, and he's still finding his way to the front.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, he's kind of refocused himself, his approach, I guess, and how he races and how he tries to get to the end and have success. And I think that this Sunday night race was a redefining a little bit of Ross Chastain. Still busted that watermelon.
Oh,
At the end of the day. You know, I just love that, because, and the only reason I love watermelon, but you know, to some people it may seem a little bit corny or whatever, but you know what? To me, it's a guy that hasn't forgotten where he came from. He hasn't forgotten that family business and people that are involved in that business. He hasn't forgotten it. He hasn't become bigger than what it is. He still loves it. You can tell it's still dear to his heart, and he's still faithful to it. And I love that. And you know, it got him go. He knows what got him where he is today. He hadn't forgotten that. And yeah, did he ruffle little feathers along the way? Sure. So did Dale Earnhardt.
A lot of good drivers.
And guys like Lee Petty, and so did a lot of others. And I think that, you know, I noticed the other night when he passed the 24, and I think the 11 was right there too. He got by the 24, and he scooted up to the track just far enough to where there wasn't a hole left. He didn't run into him. He didn't hit nothing. But he closed the door, and that's when he said, "Sorry, this is my race.
Yeah,
this is my race for my team." And you know, good for him. I think we need Ross Chastain in the series right now. He's part of the character of the Cup Series. He's one of the guys that is a little bit controversial and has been, but he loves to race.
Yeah.
He loves to race, and he hadn't forgot where he's come from. And you know what? You know, this may be the thing that we think back to Sunday night, the World 600, Ross Chastain, when it gets playoff time and the elimination starts and it gets down to the last 8 or the last 4 and Ross Chastain's in it, we may look back and say, remember the World 600? That's what got him here, and that's what turned his whole season around and made him a true one of the favorites.
So Kyle Larson's double attempt was a double disappointment. Oh. And it sounds like he probably will not attempt the double again anytime soon. So is this the last time that we're going to see someone try this in a while?
I don't, well, in a while,
yeah,
maybe. I don't think it'll be the last time somebody will do it. what kind of jumped out at me, over the whole thing, I actually watched a big percentage of both races, which is pretty big for me because usually I have to take a nap. But anyway, I made it through it. But it looked to me like, and I'm not judging, and I'm not a person to judge him, but it looked like it was just all the little, what I would call mental things that a driver has to be aware of and has to do and has to be on top of and has to expect. It's a lot for the Indy 500 and the World 600 on the same day.
Well, you know, I think it makes a difference when you're running well, right? He never ran well in Indy the whole time this time.
No,
Last year, he was the fastest thing on four wheels for most of the month of May at Indy. This year, he never really got up to speed, and I think that mentally created some of those challenges.
Well, sure it did.
You're always better,
Sure
more
it
focused
did.
when things are going your way.
Well, sure it did. It's easy to, you know, it's easy to, when like you say, when your boat's sailing good and you're right straight toward the target and you're ahead of all the other boats and the wind's right at your back, everything's good, sunshine and all that, it's kind of easy to say I'm a great sailor. But you know, when things are challenging you, I'll take our own race team, our truck team. You know, we're not doing as well as we have in the last 4 or 5 years or whatever. We're not as good as we used to be. We're struggling a little bit in some things. And you know what? It's harder than it was. It's harder because you got to think about it. I got to think about it now all the time. I was thinking about it before I got here. So, but for Kyle, not being on top of the heap is not something he's used to.
Right.
And he's invading the IndyCar stuff because he knows it's a big challenge. Now, you know, kudos to him. Most competitors don't have the, you know, they just don't have the gall to do that. They don't have the courage to do it. You know, like they're afraid of failing miserably. Now, I don't think anybody's going to think less of Kyle Larson after this past weekend, because he may go to Nashville this weekend and lap the field.
I mean, that's generally how he responds when he has a weekend like that.
Generally, yes, and it's very well that he might do it, and he's going to win more races this year, and I promise you when it gets down to playoff time, and again, that elimination process we talked about, when it gets down to those last 1 or 2 rounds, he's going to be right in the middle of it, trying to figure out how he can take home that big trophy for his team. So, you know, for all of us NASCAR fans, you know, I think everybody, competitors and all, we were pulling for him because we want to see the NASCAR guy do well. It's human, but again, you're invading somebody else's kitchen there. So the fact that he had some trouble, is it shocking? No, it's a little disappointing, and then it just piled on, and you know, he wrecked on a restart, and there was a couple of cars got took out with him, and you know, so, you know, I thought to myself, buddy, just, you know, hey, just get on that helicopter, get to Charlotte, do what you do best, and put it behind you, and, you know, hey, kudos to you anyway. Maybe next year, if he doesn't do it, then it's okay. It's his decision.
Yeah.
It's his decision, and the people around him, including Mr. Hendrick, and what, you know, I mean, it's their decision. It's not for people like me to judge. So I give him a thumbs up for the effort he does, for the amount of races he runs, for his commitment to racing, period. Every type of racing and everything he does, he wants to excel in it. You can't blame him for that. I mean, he's fun to watch.
Oh, for sure.
He's fun to watch, whether you're a fan, whether you're a whoever. He's fun to watch. He's a tremendous talent. And even when he makes mistakes on the racetrack, like he did in the World 600, it's like, you know what? This guy, he is pushing the thing. He's trying to get that horse to go a little step faster all the time because he wants to go. And yeah, sometimes he's going to make a mistake, and sometimes he's going to spin out or something. So, I
mean, his teammate is nicknamed the Showman because it rhymes with his name, but really, Larson is the showman. Let's not make any mistakes about that.
I think all the drivers will tell you that.
Yeah, for sure.
He's the Michael Jordan type.
Well, and win or
talent.
lose, he's going all in, and he's going out with a blaze of glory. If he wrecks, he's going to wreck. He's not going to have some little dinky thing happen for sure.
Yeah.
The appeals panel reduced the penalty for Chris Buescher's team for violations to Kansas to his bumper, saying the team violated some but not all of the rules NASCAR charged. His penalty was reduced from 60 to 30 points, and the fine was reduced as well. So you know this firsthand, having been in front of NASCAR appeals. The results have been mixed. Now we've had completely wiped off the board.
Yep.
We've had, in your case, we're not changing our mind.
Yeah.
And now we have somewhere in the middle. It's not lost on me, you may or may not want to comment on this, but it was not lost on me that where they landed kind of coincides with how big the team is. We had big team gets overturned, middle team gets split decision, tiny team gets not overturned.
Yeah.
May or may not be a coincidence, just throwing that out there. But the bigger point to me is, at least in this case, it sounded like this particular appeals panel did really listen to the arguments that Buescher gave and took that into account.
Well, obviously they did, and you got to remember now, it's not always the same three people.
No,
it's very
rarely
mix.
the same three
It's
people.
rarely the same three people, and they seem to at sometimes have a little bit of trouble finding three people that can be there at this time. Most of them don't live in the Charlotte area. So some of them are kind of far away, and they have lives, and they have things they do. They have events, or I'm not going to say jobs. Maybe they do have jobs or businesses or whatever. They have concerns that you know, they got their hands on, got irons in the fire, and it may be like a huge difficulty to be there. And that's why they have so many. I'm not sure how many they actually have, but it's several. It's a lot, and they'll draw and they'll get three. And apparently the people, I'll have to give credit with Buescher's team. They must have prepared this well. They came with their plea or their argument or their explanation of the circumstances and reasons why that, hey, we don't think this is fair. We don't think this is quite right. If you look at this, we think maybe this or that was overlooked, and you know, we think we should have a little bit of leniency here. And apparently that's what the appeal board found to be what they needed to do. So congratulations to the Buescher team. You know, if they got a special powder they shake, I wish they'd
want to borrow a little bit of it?
Shake it a little have a little bottle of it there, you know, to keep just in case.
You guys are still the people's chance. You still won that race. We all saw it.
We feel like it, so anyway.
We all saw it. NASCAR heads to the Music City on the not quite mile-and-a-half concrete track, I think 1.33 miles or something like that.
Something like that.
What's the key to getting around the Nashville Superspeedway?
Nashville is I'm going to tell you something, and I talked to other competitors, so I'm not the only one. Nashville's a difficult place. It has some banking. It doesn't have a lot. Both corners are a little bit different. You have a tri-oval in the front straightaway, and it's all concrete, and it's not terribly wide either. It's fairly narrow. Now, they've done some things with track treatment and so forth, trying to get more of a groove. The track also, one thing I left out is terribly bumpy.
Yeah. Like
very chattery bumpy is what most people call it. That has been a description of that place, I think, ever since it was built back in the 1990s. So anyway, I'm sure that the crew chiefs, race engineers are right now compiling a book of stuff that they can do, even though there's not a lot of things they can do in practice. There's not a lot of things that they can touch, as much as they'd want to. But I think ride quality at Nashville, much like Charlotte, is a big premium. If you don't get that ride quality, and that's comes from, you know, the difference between springs and shocks are the dampening part that slows that bumpy, wavy, chattery travel down to where the driver can actually feel the tires. It's tough. It's tough. and they're also going to be watching tire wear. Probably right side tires are probably going to watch those pretty closely, making sure those things are, not being abused, because it can abuse tires also. So I think it'll be an interesting race. There'll be some pit strategy involved, as always. I don't know that I'm not going to say that there's going to be so much gas mileage,
Unless they run 27 overtimes like they did last year.
good possibility. She's got all the answers. I'd take her to the casino and say, no, that guy, right? Yeah. So anyway, it'll be a good race.
Joining us now is Daniel Suarez, driver of the 99 for Trackhouse Racing. First of all, I know you had personally a rough Coke 600. It did not go the way that you wanted, but I would say as an organization, you have to be encouraged by the speed, because you were fast before you had issues. SVG was fast, and obviously Ross won. So when I talked to SVG a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about you guys needing to just find overall speed and get to the front more. Do you feel like you're headed in that direction?
Yeah, Heather. The Coke 600 for me, it was I left the racetrack maybe 80 laps to go, and I had a lot of mixed feelings. Well, no, at that point I was very upset, right, and disappointed. But after the race, I started watching the race, the last 80 laps, and Ross won. I started having actually a lot of hope, right? Because I know that we're capable of building more race cars like that one, and obviously, the last few months they've been a little bit difficult in trial. We haven't really found a lot of speed. We've been struggling in qualifying here and that, but we believe that we have found a path, and obviously the one team showed that. So it's exciting for that. In the 99 group, we struggle a lot. Pretty much the first two stages we struggle a lot, but once we got into the window, we had pretty decent speed. I cannot say that we had the same speed on the one, because we really didn't had that for a long time, and it took us a lot of work to get into that window. But we were starting to crack into the top 10, so that was promising. We haven't done that by raw speed in a little while, so you know. For sure, some mixed feelings, but happy for Ross, for the one team, and for the direction that hopefully things can bring us our way.
Well, you mentioned though that you did find some stuff. I mean, I was at the race and I saw you guys coming before you had your issues. Can you carry that over into Nashville? Because I know Nashville is a huge race for you guys.
I hope so. Obviously, we're working hard. Today we had a busy day of meetings, and obviously we had a lot of conversations about what it was that we did that it was better, especially on the one group, and we believe that we have a direction. We just have to continue to work and continue to build more race cars like this, and execute races, right? Because it's not just about the car; it's also about the execution. The one team did an amazing job with the car and with the race. So it's not just magic, right? Like they did the entire package together, and that's what you have to do. Things work out for them. The race was long enough that they were able to work on the car and make it better and better and better, and it shows. So yeah, I'm excited for the new future for Trackhouse.
When I talked to SVG a couple of weeks ago, he talked about qualifying being kind of the team as a whole. All three of you really have not qualified that well. Even Ross had to start from the back because he had his crash this week. How much of an emphasis is qualifying for you guys as a group?
It's speed in general, right? Like qualifying is one of them, because in qualifying you have to maximize the speed of your race car, right? Like that's the fastest lap that you're gonna turn the entire weekend. So yes, our issues are reflected more on qualifying, but but the reality is that it's just overall speed. Yes, qualifying is something important, but the priority is speed. If you fix the speed, you fix everything.
Nashville this week is obviously a home race for Trackhouse. How exciting, how big, how much pressure is on you guys when you go to Nashville?
I mean, honestly, for me, it's just another race. It's just another race that is important. Every race is important, and every race you want to execute and do well. Nashville, obviously, is important for Trackhouse um, because the idea of Trackhouse was born there. Um, with that being said, it's just another race, and it's another opportunity for us to compete and to do well. I'm gonna have the Tootsie's colors as usual, and Tootsie's is obviously a local sponsor, and that's for me very exciting.
Um, well, you could play that off as just another race, but I know that you're very excited about Mexico City coming up, and you announced today that you have an Xfinity ride for that race as well. So you're going to be doing double duty. I mean, how big is it going to be for you to go home and race in front of your home crowd?
It's just another race. I just kidding.
Ah, stop.
No, that's not just another race. It's just very special, because it's something that I have dreamed of for a very long time. To have the opportunity to race in my home country in front of the people that has known me for a very long time and has seen me grow and learn and be who I am. So it's very special. I think that a lot of people is going to enjoy it. It's going to be an amazing event. I'm in consistent, you know, communication with other promoters in Mexico, and things are moving in an amazing direction. So excited for that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to be racing in Mexico City.
Is there anything that might surprise us when we get down there as a collective group about the area, the excitement for NASCAR? Like, what maybe might we not see coming?
The promoters of the race, along with NASCAR, they're putting a lot of work into, NASCAR into learning Mexico culture, and the promoters into learning NASCAR. So it's almost like a brand new relationship, right? Like when you have a new girlfriend and you're still learning, what to do, what not to do, and things like that. But NASCAR has a lot of experience with NASCAR, and the promoters have a lot of experience with Mexico. So it's a perfect combination. These same promoters that are doing NASCAR have been making Formula One extremely successful for many years, winning the best GP award several years. So I think it's going to be amazing. I think the event is going to be something different that one we're used to it here in the United States. So I hope that everyone enjoys it. It's going to be it's going to be very big. There is a lot of people super excited. We're going to have people from not just from Mexico, but all over the world. A lot of people coming from South America, from the United States. So it's going to be a special event. We're going to be making history together.
For my final thought today, I want to talk about Amazon Prime entering into the lexicon of NASCAR and Prime Video showing the races. A lot of what I heard before the race was negative. Sorry, NASCAR fans, it's kind of what you do, especially the vocal ones. I think the majority of NASCAR fans just happily go about their day and watch the race and don't really complain much. But the vocal ones were certainly negative about the idea of only being able to get a race on streaming. We as a society don't like change, and this was certainly a big change. But I think once you started watching the race and the coverage and the freedom that the internet gives you as opposed to broadcasts, particularly when it comes to sports, I think that fans started to understand pretty quickly why NASCAR was so excited about this move to Prime. There's no time constraints. You don't have to hit a window. There's not another sporting event lined up. So they did, I don't know, because we waited in victory lane to talk to Ross Chastain for what felt like an hour after the race was over. And you don't have to worry about any of that time constraint stuff when you don't have something knocking on your door, waiting to get into your time window. So just more in depth, and the tone was different. I think sometimes you just need, and I think this is actually going to be to the benefit of both NBC and Fox, the traditional broadcasters. Sometimes you just need a little bit of fresh faces, fresh energy into a space to take it to the next level. And I'm not just talking about the people behind the scenes, which obviously there's a lot of new people with Prime involved, but also on the air. Like, it was great to see the host team of Daniel Trotta and Carl Edwards and Corey LaJoy. Obviously, Danielle did some TV a long time ago, and she's real involved in Sirius XM. These are three people that really haven't been in that role ever on TV. And so I think it just brings a different energy and a different feel and different thoughts. Sometimes we in the NASCAR vacuum want to talk about the same things over and over again because it's what we hear, it's what we know. They're looking at the three fairly fresh eyes, especially Corey and Carl. And I just think it gives us a different experience of the whole thing. So I've watched part of the broadcast, gone back and watched it. I haven't watched all of it. As I mentioned, I was at the race, probably be about the same this week. So I probably won't get to watch a full broadcast until next week. But from what I saw, I'm really excited about it and the possibilities it brings to the sport. Thanks for joining us on the Backstretch. We'll see you next week.